Okay, also in chapter 16, we have the first court scene, right? So the very next morning, after the tension at the prison cell, they go in for the first day of court. And now Atticus clearly instructed his kids not to come into the courthouse, but of course they do anyways. They meet a lot of interesting characters along the way, all right? And this one character we're introduced to is Mr. Dolphus Raymond. Mr. Dolphus Raymond. So he is supposedly the town drunk. He goes around and sips some kind of liquid out of a brown bag, and says a lot of weird, kind of mean things all the time. And he is a lot of gossip around the town about him. He reportedly has mixed children, right? So he has an African American wife, and Scout asks why he hangs out with, she says, Negroes all the time, right? In her kind of, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for here? In her, not brainwashing, but she has these bad influences that cause her to say all these terrible words. So she says, why does he hang out with African Americans all the time? And Jim says that it's because he likes them better, actually, than white people. And so he's kind of a topic of conversation for Scout and Jim, and they're very intrigued by him, indeed. So he sits in the African American section and everything. So who invites Jim and Scout? Jim and Scout and Dill are there in the courthouse, and they can't find a seat. And of course, Mr. Reverend Skies, he sees them, and he invites them to sit with him. So they have a seat, and they're watching the whole scene. And before everything begins, right, the kids can see this guy, Judge Taylor. He is the guy who's going to be the head judge of the entire case. And he's got a really interesting, unique way of running a courthouse. He is very easygoing and relaxed. He chews on a cigar. He kicks his feet up all the time. He sometimes is, sleeping. But Scout points out pretty quickly that this is all actually kind of a ruse, right? It's a false appearance that Judge Taylor is giving off. And why is he doing this? What he's trying to do is make it seem like he's not running a very strict courthouse. And by doing that, the lawyers, right, and the witnesses and everybody who's in the courthouse will kind of be more lax, right? They'll think that they can act more laxly, and they'll be a little bit looser with their tongue and maybe end up saying the truth. So Scout gives this example of a time when, Judge Taylor was pretending to fall asleep, right? And then somebody knocked some books over to try and wake him up. And the judge, without opening his eyes, he said, do that again, and it'll cost you $100, right? So this is all kind of a plan that Judge Taylor has to get people to tell the truth and to act in a truthful manner, right? So that's chapter 16. They meet all these interesting people.